Hello, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Jewel coming back at you with another video. And today we're going to do a little talking about some Black history topics and self awareness topics. All right, my music stopped on its own. That's what's up. Okay. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. I got my work done. If any of you been going through college or even high school, or anytime you have a project that you got to do, and you know, no matter how hard you try to get it done and get ahead of the game, you always wind up getting behind that curveball, and you just, oh my goodness, I'm fixing things here. Let me get this, pop, pop. So today, um, what prompted this talk was I had to do a paper, and one of the articles I researched, I came across this article here. And the article, it actually is a research study that was done, and it was titled Social Media Contributions to Strong Black Women, Ideal Endorsement, and Black Women's Mental Health. So, boop, my flag went up, and I'm not going to read the whole article, of course, because it's like 14 pages, but I was definitely intrigued by what I did write. And so I decided I'm going to make that my topic today and then spin that into something positive, okay? Which the article wasn't negative, it just touched on negative ideology. Ooh, I like that. Negative ideology. So, and then I want to tie this into some things, some revelations that I had about myself. So I want to start this off with the story. And this story is a true story. It happened last week, and I didn't want to talk about it then, but it's kind of had its time to kind of wash through. So I think it'd be a good time to fill you guys in on it. So, you know, there are times that we reach a point in our lives where we feel grown. You feel like, I don't need to answer to nobody. I'm grown. Okay. And we still have jobs, so we still have to answer to people. Well, this is kind of where that situation happened. So I'm a truck driver, and I'm going to school full time. So a lot of times my truck driving schedule conflicts at times with my schooling. And this is one of those days. So usually here lately we've been getting off at about we're getting off about 8 o'clock, okay? But there has been times in the past where, I couldn't get off until like midnight and still have to come home and do my studies. And hey, you do what you got to do. So anyway, this particular day, on my way coming in, I get the text message that that I was being tasked to go do basically extra work, okay? And I had an assignment due. And so with this new mindset that I've been stepping into, my old self would have gone in and what I call puffed up and say, look, I got something to do. I ain't got time for this. Okay? I'm out. But my new self decided I wasn't going to do that. My new self decided I was just going to go in, hand in my paperwork, and leave. And that's what I did. And I didn't say anything to the supervisor on duty. So I went in, got my paperwork, and of course, I ain't gonna lie. She basically said to me, hey, I need you to go do this. And I did not respond. I played dumb, aloof, kept my mouth shut. Went, kind of bypassed what she thought I was going to do. Went over to the clock, clocked out. I went home. So I knew the consequences. I knew what was going to happen. So I wasn't surprised when I got a write-up, okay? it happens. First one in all the time that I've been with the company. But that particular day, it wasn't necessarily about me rebelling. It was about I had something to do. And for me, it was better to just say, hey, go and accept the consequences later. Okay, so let's get into what I was reading. And this is all going to tie in, and you'll see it all tie in. So in this article, I was reading about this strong black woman ideology, and what struck me was a few pieces of this that I feel play out in my work environment and throughout. It's played out throughout my life, and I couldn't understand the why behind it. And so now it kind of gave me some context as to why is it always I'm supposed to hold everything on my shoulders, okay? When I'm a human too, okay? So this first part reads that the strong black woman ideal is rooted in this black woman's strength, tenacity, and caretaking abilities. And although embracing this ideal is believed to be helpful for black women's survival and self-sufficiency, self-efficacy, it may also be detrimental to their self-care behaviors as it expects black women to prioritize others' needs above their own. And it goes in to talk about how this can also diminish mental health and physical well-being. And black women are using, now they're basically using social media to create new cultural narratives, images, and definitions of the black womanhood. So I scrolled down a few more pieces, and I found this interesting, this particular part of it. The strong black woman ideal reflected beliefs that African women were superior in physical and psychological strength compared to white women, and can more easily withstand pain in harsh conditions. Today, the SBW ideal is characterized by perceived obligations of black women that they should suppress fear and weakness, showcase strength, resist appearing vulnerable or dependent, and constantly put others before themselves. So just that right there, just think about that, okay? How many times have you put others before yourself? I know I've done it many a times, okay? And even my health, I mean, right now, I need to definitely cut down some of them pounds, okay? But this plays out in my work environment. I have seen it many times play out in my work environment. Even the time when I got into a scuffle with someone I was dating, when the police broke up the scuffle, they said, well, she looks like she's got more bruises than you do, and so you look like you were the aggressor. Wow, okay. But really what they were saying is, she's a white woman. She's not as strong as you. You're a black woman. You're stronger. So therefore, you're the one that started it, which that wasn't the case. They came in, that wasn't the case, but that's a story for another day. So anyway, I took a history class a couple months ago, and it really kind of opened my eyes in context to this right here, because they talked about the House of Burgesses, which was in the colonial part of Virginia. And in this part of the history, we talked about the tobacco crops and where the genesis for gender and slavery kind of met. Okay. And this one specific part, it basically the history of and present South state of Virginia. It basically touched on slave life and white poor people. And so they were from when you put on the lens of what they were trying to do, when you put on the lens of the racial lens, basically to see what they were trying to do, you can see that they were attempting to basically say, well, we can't put the poor whites with the poor blacks. So we got to find some way to divide that because our white counterparts, their white counterparts, they wanted to protect and not put them in that class. So they created this rule, shall we say, to do that. Okay. And at this bottom part, it talks about the white woman. She could work in the house as a servant, okay, if need be, but she was not to work in the ground. In other words, she was not to be out there picking cotton and doing all that heavy lifting and labor, okay? But the black woman, she's stronger. So she goes out there, okay? And it also plays into that light slave, dark slave ideology that I'm sure many of us who are watching this, we know that, School Days, Spike Lee touched on it. But it was about separating us and dividing us based on the shades of our skin. And this all played into that. This all was a part of creating that. Understanding the origin of stuff hopefully can help you understand the why behind you perpetuating certain things or certain things happening around you in your environment. So that leads me to talk about the self-awareness aspect of all of this and how that has a bigger piece. Okay. When we become self-aware of our actions, our behavior, our thinking, how we interact with people, we now have an ability to make choices. We can make choices as to how we respond to a situation. So I watched a video, and they talked about this was not implicit bias. This was basically building teams, and but it plays into the implicit bias. So implicit bias basically says we all have biases. Whether we want to own them or not, we all have them. Yes, you've heard it. I'm not racist. I've got black friends. I'm not racist. I got white friends. Okay. Yet an implicit bias is something that is in the subconscious. Okay. Whether we are aware of it or not, it is embedded deep into our subconscious. That strong black woman ideology is embedded into the subconscious of many people. Okay. Because television has portrayed us, the big black mammy, okay. It has portrayed us as that, and many movies, okay. Even some of the movies that are directed by black directors have that one big black woman who comes in the room and she ain't taking no shit. Okay. Madea. I love Madea, but Madea, strong black woman, ain't taking no shit from y'all. Okay. That is all about that strong black woman ideology, that we can handle whatever, but we sacrifice what's true to us. Okay. So we need to shift that. I know that is my focus, to shift away not only how I react to people, but how I see myself. Okay. It's okay to feel like a strong black woman. What's not okay is feeling like I have to carry the world on my shoulders and forgo my own health, my own well-being, my own mental well-being. Okay. So In talking about this particular video that I saw, what the man touched on was about how we get defensive, okay, and why we get defensive. And he basically said we get defensive because we're trying to protect ourselves, our fears. We don't want to get into that fear of feeling a certain way, okay? And I definitely understand what he's talking about. So let me give you another story, and this all plays into last week and that whole event extending out. So I work in a predominantly male environment, and in working in the environment, there are signals that I see based on body language, facial expressions, and so forth. So what I mean by that is, I come into a room, someone says, "Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up?" But then you have a certain person that gives you that look, and I'm sure you've experienced it, that look, and you kind of wonder, like, what's the look about? Okay, that look to me is a implicit bias playing out, and that person might not even realize it. They may not even realize that they're playing out their implicit bias because it is that deep in the subconscious. Okay, so now the choice is, how do I respond to it? All right, so my defense bucks up, because now I'm on the defense, because I'm like, okay, what you looking at me for? But really what I'm saying is, whatever feeling that look gave me, I don't want it. Okay, so now I'm on the defense, because really what I'm fighting back is, I'm fighting back that feeling that I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel unlikable. Okay, that's probably one of them. I don't want to feel like I am a burden to be in this room. I don't want to feel like I'm not wanted in this room. I don't want to feel like I don't belong in this room. So really that defensiveness that I'm feeling is me basically protecting that. So this particular event, what I saw happening was another female being embraced, physically embraced in front of the room by a supervisor, leader, who has influence with the others in the room. So what does that look like? So that looks like, basically, when and these are things that we as people don't even realize sometimes that play out in our environment. So, but when you are in a team environment, some supervisors have the influence of basically saying, hey, this one I accept, that one I don't. So if I like this one, you better like this one. And that's what was playing out, although subconsciously that is what was playing out. So by that supervisor basically embracing this female, he's saying, this, y'all can hang with her. Okay? So I paused for a minute, because I started to get defensive and didn't know why. But now, through self-awareness, through understanding, I realized, oh, I didn't feel likable. I didn't feel like I was accepted in the room. Okay? So now that's what was defensive was coming about, was me feeling like I'm not accepted. So no one in that room can fix that feeling. Okay? No one. I had to fix it. So how I fix it is that I paused. I froze. I froze that moment in my mind, and I said, okay, stop. What you doing? What's happening right now? Let's look at this. And I did. I looked at the list, because I had made a screenshot of the list of things that get us defensive. Excuse me, let me get some water. Throat's dry. So I had that list, and I pulled out my phone. while they were talking, I said to myself, go down this list and see which one of these emotions you're experiencing. And so I'm gonna read your list real quick. So withdrawal into deadly silence, deadly science, withdrawal into deadly silence, playing poor me, all or nothing thinking, wanting to be right, blaming or shaming others, sudden drop in IQ, confusion, high charge of energy in the body, catastrophizing everything, wanting the last word, obsessive thinking, and flooding with information to prove a point. So for me, it was a little bit of that playing poor me, basically thinking, okay? And I would say I started to dip into that obsessive thinking, catastrophizing everything. So I began to slip into that mindset, okay? Now, as I realized that, I said, no, I don't need to do that. There is no need for me to get defensive. No one is attacking me. But this is that part of that mental health, that self-awareness, even that implicit bias played into effect and all that. Okay? Because those are all things that deal with the mindset. Okay? So after I processed it, and this was the tools that I used, okay? First, I had to recognize it. Okay? So I'm dropping you some gems. You can try this. Recognize what is happening at the moment that is causing you to be defensive. Recognize it. So that might mean freeze. Okay? Then once I recognize it, let's analyze and evaluate this. That's what I did. Analyze and evaluate. I pulled out my list of, I don't want to feel this way. What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Okay? Okay, that's what I'm feeling. All right, I need a solution. I need to resolve this. Because what could happen is as I'm going throughout my day, I come across somebody who then hits that right button and bye-yow. You know it. You know you've done it. You going through the day, and then it takes that one person to press, and that emotion just bursts, pop, like a pimple. Okay? You get it. You understand what I'm talking about. And I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want that energy to release itself someplace else. Remember, I don't know if you saw my other videos, but I talked about energy being something that cannot be created or destroyed in physics. Okay? I didn't make that up. And so a thought is energy, and it moves. Okay? It's going to move somewhere. So you got to release it somewhere. You can release it with a pop, or you can release it with a whoosah and reorganize it, rechannel it into something. And I wanted to rechannel it into something. So I resolved it. And what I came up with was, first off, everything that was happening up here. Okay? And that whether those messages were true or untrue, that's not about me. I'm not going to accept that. Okay? So there was no need for me to get defensive. And then I turned it into humor. So later on, I joked. I was like, oh, okay. I see how you doing. You giving out hugs. Oh, but see, whenever you approach me, I get the boot. Yeah, I got you. No problem. I got you. But I laughed it off. And we did. We laughed it off. We kikied. And it made it just dissolve out. Okay? So the next time you come across a situation and you get defensive, self-awareness is your friend. Recognize that you might be having an implicit bias moment. Okay? And pause. Identify the feeling. Identify what's happening right now. Recognize it. Own it. Okay? It's okay to be that strong black woman. Just don't let that mental health suffer for it, because it doesn't serve you well. Okay? So you got to recognize it, analyze it, evaluate it. All right? Then we got to find a solution for it. And then we got to move that energy into something else, something positive to lift you up, to the next level. Okay, so I ran a little bit over my time, but that's okay. I needed to just pull this out. This right here was calling to me all night. So I hope this information gives you some value, makes you a little bit more wiser to go out there and be in this world and do you in a healthy way. All right, everybody, let's leave with my music. Oh, let's rock it. It's Monday. Motivation. It's Monday. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Yup, yup, yup. Bop, bop. Yup, yup, yup. Bop, bop. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. All right.